What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of exciting news to go over here this week, some pretty big stories here. The first one is that Toyota has finally started giving us a teaser for the GR Corolla and some actual solid info to go along with that. So they're putting out a teaser here that was so clever, in fact, that no one picked up on it for 4 weeks. This is an Instagram post that Toyota posted 4 weeks ago back in October, and just now all the other automotive outlets, including myself, are finally covering this because I didn't even notice it as well. So basically we have a picture here that's simply captioned, "Keep them guessing," and if you look carefully you'll see a Corolla hatchback with the familiar GR camo on a dirt road in the background in the very corner there. But not only that, if you actually dissect this image, they put a bunch of other teasers in here. So you'll see the gauge cluster strangely shows G16 for the time, which clearly confirms that it'll be getting the G16E GTS engine that's used in the GR Yaris, meaning the US car will actually get the same awesome mechanicals as the GR Yaris. And that is huge because there was rumors it could go other directions, but everyone just basically wanted the GR Yaris here. And since we can't have the Yaris body here, you know, put it in the Corolla, we're all happy. And that sounds like that's exactly what they're going to be doing here, because so the teaser confirms that engine. That also confirms we'll be getting that all-wheel drive system because, you know, for a refresher, the Yaris, GR Yaris runs the turbo 3-cylinder that does 268 horsepower, 266 pound-feet of torque, and it's only paired with a 6-speed manual. So the other hints here in this image that confirm that all that other stuff is that you'll see a GR4 road that's displayed on the navigation system there on that Corolla in the image. And so that GR4 obviously is the all-wheel drive system, and the 2 and 6/8 numbers are visible on the climate control, and it's perfectly framed so those are the only numbers you see, which is clearly going back to that 268 horsepower. So very clever. I'm really loving this little teaser from Toyota, and I hope that we get more of these. This is kind of reminding me of the stuff whenever Dodge used to tease stuff back in the day where you'd find little Easter eggs and things. And yeah, so very exciting, and that is spectacular news, and hopefully, you know, it just comes here sooner rather than later. We're not waiting forever for it, but we have no info on when this is going to arrive. Car and Driver mentioned in their report about this teaser maybe like 2022, something, you know, in that year, you know, coming next year here, but we'll have to see. Anyway, just very exciting to hear that. For some not so great news here, though, we have some very big news from interviews that both Motor Trend and Motor Authority did this week with the CEO of Dodge, Tim Kuniskis, at the LA Auto Show. And so, in typical fashion, Tim Kuniskis is very blunt at times and just is an awesome guy, it seems, just by the way he kind of lays things out, and you know, doesn't seem to be much BS with him. So anyway, he was pretty open about the future of the next 2 years here for Dodge and what they're planning on doing, you know, as much as he possibly can be without just giving everything away. So first, in the Motor Authority interview here, they mentioned that for fans of existing Dodge products, he told the website, I will have this car, this platform, this powertrain as we know it through the end of 23. There's 2 more years to buy a Hellcat, then it's history. That's the quote. You heard it directly from the mouth of the Dodge CEO. So in case there was any kind of, there was actually some back and forth, because Dodge's CEO did also say not too long ago that, like, just because the electric thing's coming in 2024 doesn't mean that everything else is going away in 2024. But now he's clearly confirming that at least the Hellcats are definitely going away in by 2024 there. So, you know, it's just the way things go. We'll have faster stuff most likely with the electric stuff, but you know, never again will there be another supercharged V8 again, unless something radical changes that, you know, allows everyone to abandon, you know, the emissions stuff. But anyway, so on top of all that, we have some other info here. So not only will the Hellcats be going away, but he revealed to Motor Trend that these cars that you know today will go out of production by the time we get to 2024, meaning the Charger and the Challenger. So he said they'll be replaced by new vehicles on new platforms, but he wasn't willing to say whether they're going to keep the Charger and Challenger names or do something else, but he did agree that there's a lot of equity in those names. I don't think it would make sense to get rid of them. I know that everyone would be sad if they're all electric and quiet and stuff, but I still think, you know, a big blocky muscle car that's super fast from Dodge probably it makes sense to call it a Challenger, and so, I think that'd be fine if they kept the names around, but it doesn't sound like he's saying one way or another as far as what they're going to do with that. And although the electric muscle car has already been announced to arrive in 2024, surprisingly, a concept version will be revealed sometime in the first half of 2022. So basically here in the next 4 or 5 months, they're saying it'll be a fully working car that's capable of high performance driving too. So we're not talking about just some fancy shell just to show off styling or something. Like, they're actually going to have a running prototype in a concept body here, in the next few months. So they're clearly further along with this whole development of this platform and all these electric vehicles than they've been letting on. It's kind of surprising we have seen like 0 spy shots. If it's something that's actually debuting this soon, you'd think we'd be seeing stuff on the streets by now, but I don't know, maybe they're hiding it very well. Other things, he also revealed that all the specs for this car will also be revealed along with this debut, along with their unique electric vehicle technology. And this sounds very interesting because he says that Dodge will do electrification different than everybody else, which, I mean, lots of people are saying that, but he added, "That's why I'm waiting until I have all my patents done before he reveals it all." So he's talking about new stuff that they're patenting that's going to be unique. I hope that, they do some really cool stuff with this. Just as a brief aside, speaking of what they could be doing potentially, I really hope someone does some type of, vibration and extra sounds for electric vehicles that are actually something that's, it's a little bit more exciting than what we currently have in the current EV offerings. And actually, whenever I was at the Hyundai Elantra N launch last week, we got to drive Hyundai's prototype RM20e. And the RM20e was really cool because this is, basically using the same platform that they've had in the past for the other Veloster test beds, which, those products ended up working their way into the Elantra N and other vehicles. And so that electric platform, I got to test drive very briefly. And the really cool thing was, not only is it very fast and very cool, but it had actual speakers on the outside to produce sound, since they say, especially with those types of vehicles, they're performance oriented. It's also a showcase for everyone around you, and, it's just showing off. And so you can do that with the electric vehicle with this prototype. And Hyundai even mentioned talking about like manufacturing in extra vibration deliberately. And even I think there was talks of like virtual gear changes and things like that. And so, if you have actual sound on the inside and on the outside, that's really cool. And you have vibrations and you have, some type of gear shifting thing you can possibly be doing. Now that's just Hyundai's, stuff that they're kicking around. We'll see if any of that stuff actually happens for a production vehicle or anything. But, I'm hoping maybe Dodge does something similar. I know they're patenting their stuff, so it's going to be different and unique, but it'd be really cool if they do something like that as well. And I was very excited to hear about that from the Hyundai. But anyway, back to the Dodge here. So they're going to have all the details though about this vehicle here, basically, in a few months, which is pretty exciting. And that's not everything though. So there's also 2 other vehicles here that are going to be debuting next year that are supposedly pretty exciting. So, the first one's going to be a brand new model that will be a plug-in hybrid that's going to be revealed pretty soon, with production on that vehicle actually starting by the end of 2022. And that's most likely the Dodge Hornet, which was copyrighted, and it's most likely just going to be like the small crossover that's going to be sharing the same platform with the Alfa Romeo Tonale, the Maserati Grecale. That's kind of been the rumor, and that could potentially be that, because even Tim here in this interview isn't really playing up that vehicle a whole lot. It's just like, this is a new thing that's going to be happening, and that's kind of exciting in its own right. So we'll see. Clearly, we don't have much longer to wait for that either. But for the other one, for this third vehicle that's going to be debuting next year, he told Motor Authority that you're going to be excited about it, while smiling at them when he said that. And he got even more excited when he talked with Motor Trend, saying, "The third one is going to be a very, very, very significant car at the end of the year." 3 varies in his quote. Again, I really love how, open he is, but I mean, clearly he is jazzed about this car, whatever it ends up being. I don't know. I mean, because you already have the electric muscle car coming there, with whatever the first one is in 2022. And then you have this other thing with the SUV. I don't know what this other third car could be. My only guess is maybe some type of crazy electric Viper. some type of sports car, supercar, something like that. I don't know. Clearly it's going to be performance oriented, since this is among interviews talking about, Hellcats and stuff like that. So whatever it is, it's going to be sweet. And I mean, Dodge hasn't let us down. I mean, they have been, one of the top awesome companies here in the past 10 years that's really brought so many fun and amazing products and changed the automotive industry for the better in a lot of ways. So I'm very excited. So buckle up if you're a Dodge fan or a fan of anything fast and cool in 2022, even if it is electric. Sounds like there's going to be some really sweet stuff in the pipeline here. So lots to be excited about, even with the sad news of the Hellcats' demise in 2023. Ferrari also has a very exciting reveal this week. So they revealed their newest Icona model called the Daytona SP3, which looks awesome and actually kind of brings back flip-up headlights, although these ones kind of slide away and they're like eyelids, but that kind of pays homage to past Ferraris, as does all the other like cheese grater back end and stuff. Kind of reminds me of Testarossa and stuff, but oh, it just looks so gorgeous and so awesome. The fact that you can also take the roof off of it sweetens the deal, because it's rumored to be based on the LaFerrari chassis. Ferrari hasn't confirmed that bit, but we do know it uses the A12 Compezione's V12. So that thing with no roof, just like in the A12 GTS, but in a mid-engine setup, that sounds even better. So it has the same 9,500 RPM redline for this thing. It does even more power, though, than even the A12 Competizione. So it does 828 horsepower now, which is 9 more than the A12, making it the most powerful, naturally aspirated, non-hybrid street-legal Ferrari ever. And so part of that, extra horsepower is most likely coming from the fact you can have shorter exhaust with the mid-engine setup versus the front engine setup. And so, yeah, they say it's going to be doing a 2.85 second 0 to 62 mile per hour time and gets to 124 miles per hour in just 7.4 seconds. Nothing mind-blowing, considering, all the other faster hybrid stuff these days, but still, I mean, for something that's naturally aspirated, that's very, very impressive. Top speed is also 211 miles per hour. And yeah, so pretty sweet. It also is using a carbon fiber tub with seats that are actually molded into the tub. So they basically just have cutouts in the tub and then they put cushions on top of it, and that's the seat. And so the actual steering wheel and pedals move to meet the driver instead, so that you can actually still drive this thing regardless of what size you are. And so, yeah, they say this gives it the lowest seating position in any Ferrari currently. Not sure what beats it, otherwise. But anyway, so that's cool. Another cool thing is I'm actually surprised by how many of these things they're building. They're planning to do 599 of these, which, I mean, I thought they'd make like 30 of them or something. So 599 is a pleasant surprise. And yeah, they'll be costing $2.3 million each. So, definitely hypercar territory here. They're all still sold out, of course. So don't get your hopes up, even if you are a multimillionaire. And, according to Auto News, 499 of them immediately went to owners of the Monza SP1 and SP2. Also in the Icona series, they were offered, I guess, first dibs on them, and they, of course, all took them because these cars will immediately be worth more than $2.3 million the second you take delivery. And then the last 100 were sold to select Ferrari collectors. So, of course, out of the reach of even the average multimillionaire. So, pretty crazy there, but man, for those very lucky owners, what an awesome car. I just hope that at least someone gets to review one to see what it's like to, drive. And yeah, very, very awesome though. Cool to see that. And back to planet Earth for a normal, ordinary car reveal. Ford has revealed the 2023 Ranger for the rest of the world. We will get most likely the almost identical vehicle here in the States. But this debut is focused on Europe and Australia and stuff like that. So we'll probably get the same thing, just with a few different trim pieces. And I gotta say, it looks really nice. I really like, the front end being a little bit blockier than before. And I think it actually looks a lot better than the Maverick as well. And even in the back there, you see they have rear bumpers that have little steps molded into them now, which is a nice addition. They say the wheelbase and the track have both been increased by about 2 inches, which is the only dimensions we really have, because otherwise they didn't give any other dimensions as far as how it compares to the old Ranger. Inside, it also seems to come really well equipped with digital gauges as standard, and a big 10.1-inch touchscreen is standard as well, which I believe is the same one you get in the Explorer. Although thankfully in this, it's much better integrated than it is in the Explorer. But you can also get a 12-inch screen as an option if you'd like. And don't get too excited about the manual transmission you might be seeing in some of these interior pictures, though, because although it is offered with a manual overseas, And it is on the same platform as the Bronco, which means theoretically, even in the States here, they could probably bring a manual over if they wanted. But, I think it's a different case with the Bronco because the Wrangler offers the manual and sells in decent numbers, and that's why Ford probably felt compelled to do a manual Bronco. Here in the States, as far as mid-size pickup trucks go, no one does manual transmissions in them. And so I'm almost certain that this manual will not come to the States. But anyway, we'll see about that. But the automatic that it does come with is the 10-speed auto, of course, like you see in the F-150. Engine-wise, overseas, it's going to be getting a bunch of diesel engines, which we won't be getting any of here in the States, most likely. So the gas engine they're offering overseas currently is the 2.3-liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder, and that will most likely be the engine that powers it, since that's what powers the current Ranger. There is a chance, though, that we could also get the 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6, since that motor does fit in that engine base, since it's, again, shared with the Bronco and stuff. So that's potentially going to be coming. There's also, talk that could maybe be like the Ranger Raptor motor, or, a high-performance version of that, much like, again, you see in the Bronco, something like that. We'll have to see about all that. There's no info on when we can expect this new Ranger in the States here, by the way, either, even though it's been fully revealed. Ford of the United States here is still being very quiet about it, so I'm not sure when we'll be getting it, but at least production overseas for the overseas market will be happening next year. We'll see if it comes online in time here in the States to also make a 2023 model year vehicle here or not. But anyway, very interesting to see that debut. And some other Ford news here. Their plans to develop an electric vehicle with Rivian have been canceled. But thankfully, it doesn't sound like it's because there's any kind of bad blood or anything. It just sounds like Ford just seems to be confident in their own abilities. So Ford CEO explained to Automotive News, when you compare today with when we originally made that investment, he's talking about the investment they made in Rivian, 2 investments now actually. He said, so much has changed about our ability, about the brand's direction in both cases, and now it's more certain to us what we have to do. We want to invest in Rivian. We love their future as a company, but at this point we're going to develop our own vehicles. And so, with the huge success of not only the Mach-E, but also the F-150 Lightning, which has 160,000 reservations now, and even their E-Transit van supposedly is sold out for the first year. They have huge success clearly, and so I don't think they're sweating their electric vehicles. It would be cool since the Rivian is a lot more powerful to maybe have some type of flagship on the Rivian platform, but Ford doesn't seem to need it. I think that, they're going to electrify America with this stuff, with the F-150, and going for the mass market stuff, not some $100,000 thing. So that's all very impressive to see that they're doing that. They also still, by the way, own 12% of Rivian, so they still have an ownership there, and they're also still actually supplying some parts for the Rivian R1T. So there's still some cooperation there and everything. It's all copacetic as far as their relationship. It's just that Ford, wants to do their own thing. Can't blame them. Rivian also responded by saying, our relationship with Ford is an important part of our journey. Ford remains an investor and an ally on our shared path to an electrified future. So there you have it, but very interesting to hear that. In some other EV news, GMC this week has announced the Hummer EVs that are going to be, they say they're going to actually be starting to arrive here in December of this year. I, for some reason, thought these weren't coming until the end of 2022. But apparently the first Hummer Edition 1 versions for the very first people in line will be happening in December. So that's cool. They also revealed the final EPA rating for the range on the truck. It'll do 329 miles of range. And they originally had said it'd be 350 miles. That was their estimate. Been dropped to 329. 329 miles of range is fine in an electric car here in 2021 if it had a normal size battery. But this thing has a battery that's over 200 kilowatt hours, which is more than double what you get in a Mustang Mach-E, which can also do almost 300 miles of range on its own. Again, I know this thing is enormous. It's 9,000 pounds and has the same aerodynamics as, a skyscraper, but it still is just, you would think that it's just crazy. I guess, Hummer's sticking to their ethos of being the gas guzzler of the electric world, and now they're just the energy hog that just takes a massive amount of electricity to even power this beast of a thing. So don't let anyone fool you into thinking that the Hummer EV is green, because it definitely isn't. When it takes, 200 kilowatts of power to move this thing 329 miles. But Anyway, very cool to see nonetheless, and so just wild. And they did say that they'll be having more of these that are going to be coming here. I believe they said the edition ones are sold out, at least for the next year or so here. And then I believe 2023 we'll start seeing some more of the other variants and stuff like that. But very interesting. Cadillac is also busy working on their electric vehicles, of course, and so CarBuzz here has discovered 3 new names that were trademarked in Europe here recently. And so they've already trademarked Celestic and Symbolic with an IQ at the end as far as how they spell them, and that goes along with the lyric, of course. And so now the new names they just trademarked are Vistic, Lumistic, and Escalade IQL, which most likely is going to be a long wheelbase version of the Escalade IQ, which I guess is what they're going to be calling the electric Escalade, because they don't want to throw away the name recognition there with Escalade, and I guess Escalic didn't sound great, so they just decided to do Escalade IQ. So Escalade IQ also kind of has a weird connotation, having the IQ thing at the end of an electric vehicle, just I don't know. But anyway, so we'll see if Cadillac ends up using any of these names as well, but I think it seems fairly likely given their current direction. And I gotta say that even with the weird spelling, these names all still sound much better than the letters and numbers that they're currently using on a lot of their models. So great to see that. Genesis this week has also debuted their GV70 EV this week at the Guangzhou Auto Show in China. And so thankfully it's just as good looking as the gas-powered versions, just with the new grille and new bumpers front and back. And it will be coming to the United States, and there's a few specs so far, but there's not a whole lot here. So they just say it's going to be all-wheel drive only. It'll be powerful enough that it can do a 4.5 second 0 to 60 time, and it'll be capable of 350 kilowatt charging to potentially do a charge from 10% to 80% in less than 20 minutes if you can, find a charger that does that. And like other Hyundai EVs, it will also have a 3.6 kilowatt vehicle to load capacity, so you can power appliances with the car when you're out camping and things like that. And there's no info on when we can expect the US version of this to arrive, but I'm guessing it'll come sometime next year. But it's a nice surprise because, we just saw the GV60 electric thing, and I thought that would be like the only thing we would be getting until the G80 electric thing comes, since that was already revealed for Europe. But out of left field here, we have the electric GV70 ready to go. It's still mind-blowing to me how Hyundai and Genesis and Kia just put out stuff so quickly, and everyone else is scrambling like, oh, we got to electrify everything, this is so hard. Genesis is like, here it is, coming next year. There you go. And it's like, honestly, like Hyundai and Genesis just make everything seem so easy. And it's like, why is this so hard for everyone else that they can't come up with an electric version of their vehicle in a year or two? It's kind of wild that, they're doing this as fast as they are. But anyway, so very cool to see that. Another car that debuted in China at the auto show was the production version of the new Lincoln Zephyr here, which sadly is being built and sold only in China, with no plans to bring it here to the States, which is a shame because this thing is gorgeous. But I'm just glad that at least the Chinese still buy Lincolns, even if no one here in the States is interested in buying Lincoln sedans. At least the Lincoln sedans live on at some capacity elsewhere in the world, so we can at least see the beautiful designs they would come up with if we lived in a world where Americans actually bought Lincoln sedans anymore. So, and not only that, but according to the president of Lincoln's Chinese division, he says every detail from the inside out is crafted based on a deep understanding of our young Chinese clients. So not only are just people buying Lincoln sedans in China, but it's young people buying these, which is awesome. I mean, I think that's great. I love Lincoln and all their vehicles. I think are really beautiful looking, but it's just impressive that, they're actually buying them. And so that's how cars get made. Everyone wants to complain about, oh, why is this vehicle coming? Why isn't that vehicle not coming? The Integra, why is it not a coupe that does 400 horsepower from a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder or something? Like, this is why, because people don't actually buy the stuff. When people buy the stuff, it actually gets made. This is a prime example. You want a beautiful, gorgeous Lincoln sedan? Buy them. No one bought the Continental, so the Continental went away, and we don't have Lincoln sedans anymore, and that's that. If they had sold tons and tons of Continentals, I guarantee you the Continental would still be around. There'd be a new version. There'd be an electric version, on and on. But no one bought them. And so it is what it is. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way the car world works. And anything, honestly, if you don't buy it, anything gets discontinued. So anyway, it's a little mini rant about how I'm sad about this vehicle. But anyway, Other stuff, though, I mean, it looks very impressive. It's beautiful with the styling here. It looks very close to the concept, which we just saw a few months ago, and now here's the production version. It looks great. It also appears to be based on the old MKZ, just by the proportions of like the greenhouse and stuff. It's just, seems like it's got a heavy restyling. That hasn't been confirmed, though, but they did mention it's going to be running a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine and an 8-speed automatic. Same combo as the MKZ and the Ford Fusion and stuff. So, even if it is just a heavy reskinning, though, of the Lincoln, that might not be good enough for American buyers who want everything to be on a completely brand new platform all the time. But clearly, this will most likely be a hit in China. And clearly, it doesn't look like an old MKZ either. It's very modern looking. And the inside, look at that interior. It gets a huge 27-inch touchscreen along with 12.3-inch digital gauges. It also gets what they're calling relaxing modes. I'm not sure what they do, but they're called relaxing modes along with digital sense. Not sure how you make a scent digital either, but that's what they call them. It might just be some type of scent system, but why it's digital, I don't know. And then also an ambient lighting system with 128 color options, which is also impressive. And so yeah, for those lucky buyers in China, these will be going on sale here in early 2022. So cool to see that. And lastly here, a car that the masses that are younger here in America might actually be interested in is the Apple car. And it sounds like Apple is really tapping into what young people really want, which is not to drive and to just be able to like play on a huge iPad, because that's basically what they're planning for this Apple car, according to the report. I realize that us enthusiasts don't want this, and even many of you young enthusiasts don't want this kind of stuff, but clearly this is what the masses do want. And so, yeah. Anyway, here's the new scoop on the Apple car, according to Bloomberg in their recent report here. There's some other details I'm skipping over, but here's all the main points. So the new report this week is saying that development is shaping up and they're making some significant progress on the car. And so here's some of what Apple is talking about doing with it. They supposedly are pushing hard to get it done by 2025. That's their goal, but that is a flexible goal. And that they're pushing hard to have it done by then. But not only just to build the car and have a vehicle ready from a company that has never done a vehicle before, but also to make it fully autonomous by 2025. Fully autonomous. So it's possible that they say there's a possibility they could put out a non-fully autonomous vehicle first in 2025 if they really don't want to wait. But it sounds like they're designing this whole car around the autonomous experience. And so it sounds like they might just hold off until they have this stuff ready if it's not ready by 2025. Anyway, so here's the wild stuff about this car. They're so confident in this direction and their abilities to make this actually safe as a fully autonomous vehicle in just 4 years, or now almost 3, that they're actually rumored to be designing the car to not have a steering wheel or pedals at all, and just have an emergency takeover mode that somehow happens. Maybe some joystick kind of explodes up out of the middle or something. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, they're planning a car with no steering wheel and pedals, not just a concept car, for a real production car. Also, they said there's going to be multiple layers of redundancies, so that if a system does fail, another one will be able to take over to always keep this thing driving itself. And supposedly it's using a very advanced chip. Apple is now doing their own chips, and so they're designing the chip and the processors and all that for this car in-house. And it's supposedly the most advanced stuff they've ever done. So the chips they have in their computers and phones and stuff are all very impressive. So this will be interesting to see just how impressive this ends up being for this car. But they also say in the article that Apple has recently reached a key milestone in developing this self-driving system. And so, I guess they are really, being able to, get to some kind of milestone. I don't know what that means, but yeah, we'll see how well this thing drives itself. And on top of that, though, like I said, the whole car is being designed around this autonomous experience, with one option that they're supposedly kicking around is a setup that's limo-like, where the passengers all sit on the sides of the vehicle instead of facing forwards, and that it would have a huge touchscreen in the middle of the vehicle for all the occupants to interact with. So basically, think of almost like a very futuristic version of like a Volkswagen camper van or something, with like a huge, maybe like picnic kind of table, or like a little dinner table there in the middle, and kind of cut out lounge style seating there. And it would just be that. It would just be, you'd be sitting in a rolling cube, or whatever it ends up being shape wise, rolling cube with just a lounge of a circle of seats and an enormous glowing tablet in the middle for everyone to play with. We'll see. I mean, Apple has revolutionized the phone. They've done crazy stuff with watches and all kinds of stuff. They're working on VR goggles, and so if anyone could do it, I guess Apple could be the one to do that and, do just crazy stuff. I just really hope that if it does succeed, that it doesn't change the car as we know it, because I personally like using a steering wheel and pedals and looking through a windshield and facing forward and seeing where I'm going and all that. But, it seems like something you could expect 50 years from now, but 3 years from now, it just seems really hard to, expect something like this, but we'll see. Apple isn't afraid to dream big, though, so we'll see how this all goes. And it's also worth noting, the Apple car has been very rocky with its development. It's been off and on again, back and forth. Now, supposedly, they have their top people working on it. They have a ton of money, clearly, Apple has to invest into it and stuff. So I think they're really determined to make this happen. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, very interesting to hear that. Let me know what you think about sitting in a rolling vehicle with just a gigantic iPad in the middle and lounge style seating. That's sounds terrifying to me, honestly, if no one's driving it. Yikes. Anyway, that's it as far as all the news this week, guys. Let me know your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.